You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. Thank you so much for joining us. What's Working is the show that focuses on workplace, workforce, and marketplace trends, always looking for guests that can keep us, the show and the listeners, attuned to what those trends may be. Today, I have Devon Harris in the chair across from me. Her company is OberaConnect, a female-driven, led technology company. And yes, the stereotypes are leaping out to say that's not typically what we see, which is the reason I wanted her on the show. Devon, first and foremost, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to What's Working.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here. I'm excited to hear your story. And in fact, let's begin with that. Tell me how you began with OberaConnect. What is the story of what made you interested in what you're doing today?
So I would say about 15 years ago, I took a change in my career. So this is not what I went to college for, which I don't think that's shocking to most people. I think we start out on a path and then we turn another direction. So I went to college originally for nursing, and then I worked in the healthcare field for quite a while. And probably 15 years ago, my godfather and father introduced me to someone who was running a telecom company. I started at the bottom of the barrel and worked my way up. Mm-hmm. About 4 years ago, my father said we should do this for ourselves. OberaConnect was a subsidiary of his company and bought the business, and here we are.
So OberaConnect was a subsidiary, and he bought it from the other owners and said, let's you and me take this on, or is it?
No. So what happened is Obera is a federal government contracting company that my father owns.
Okay.
And OberaConnect was a subsidiary of that company. So what we did in May of 2021 was separate the two companies and opened OberaConnect. It's on its own. It's its own LLC. And we strictly do commercial for telecom.
And he, why you? You were working at the company. Why did he come to you and say, hey, I think you and I can do this? Did you have a special talent that he saw?
So I had been working at a telecom company for, 13 plus years and helped them grow their business very successfully. And it had always been my dream and my goal to work with my dad one day in some capacity, if that was for his business in Obera or for me to take over OberaConnect. And we had talked about it throughout the years, and it was just never the right time, right? Building my family, getting married, all of those things. I think owning a business kind of was the back burner. And so in 2021, it just seemed like the right time. And boy, have we taken off.
Yeah. I love these first customer stories. Tell me about your first customer. What was the first sale you made under this new company?
So when I started the business in 2021 with my dad, we hired a colleague of mine that I had worked with in the past. She came to work with us, and her father was actually our first customer. It's a shipyard in Chickasaw.
Yeah.
And we do everything from internet, managed IT, phones, security for them. And he was our first customer.
Well, I guess you weren't nervous as you was making the sale. You've been with the company for years before, but was there a special moment when you said, oh, we did it? The idea might just work.
Oh, well, yeah, because when we separated the two companies in May of 2021, we had no clients on the commercial side. And so to have your first customer and also know them, it was just this exciting moment like, okay, we're doing this.
And that was 2021. Since then, the demand for your services and the market has grown. However, it seems based on what I've read that you've outpaced the market in your growth. Tell me a little bit about that. You're obviously doing well. You've got clients, according to the stuff that I've read, in 13 different states. Your employee size has doubled, if not quadrupled or something like that. What do you attribute your success to?
It's interesting to look back at the last 4 years because it's kind of like a whirlwind. I think, you wake up one morning and then you blink your eyes and 4 years later, here you are with 2 locations, 20 plus employees servicing 13 states. And it really just started with me and my dad 4 years ago. And so I would say for us, relationships is how we have built this business.
Yeah.
We are not a transactional company. Yes, there's contracts. Yes, there's money involved, all of those things. But everybody that we do business with today is has either been referred to us for somebody else, which is great. Our business is built on referrals, or it's somebody that we know, or somebody, has said, oh, I've heard of them before. I know who she is. And I feel like that's a lot of what attributes us to where we are today. For us, it's not just coming in and saying, you need internet, you need managed IT, you need security. It's really understanding their business, understanding where they are in their business, and building the right solutions for them and their team. One of our core values is simplicity. And I think technology can get, really tricky sometimes and people don't understand it. And we really just try to make it simple for them so they can go run their business and we can handle the rest.
So I do want to talk to you about simplicity and technology. I've got some beliefs that that the promise of technology and simplicity is waning. However, you mentioned that your business is based on relationships. Now, I'll be candid with you. We've done 300 episodes of this show, and everybody we've had on here has suggested that their business is based on relationships. What makes your relationships different? What makes your approach to relationships different? Why? So everybody says relationships. That's like everybody saying, yeah, we work hard. Everybody claims that. What makes yours different?
So I think what makes us different is what happens after the sales process.
Okay, here we go. Tell me.
So just think about other telecom providers in your mind. I'm not going to name drop anybody, but if the salesperson sells you something, throughout that process, it's fantastic, right? Because they're closing a deal, they're getting something, et cetera, right? The customer's getting something, the company is getting something, you make the sale, and typically you don't hear from that person anymore, right? It's moved on to somebody else. If it's a long-term contract where you're going to be involved with this company, over time, instead of like you buy a car and you leave with the car. Typically you don't go back to the car dealership
Right. Unless
something's wrong. In our business, we have contracts, 3, 5-year, 10-year contracts. So we're with these people for a long time and hopefully forever. Where we're different in the relationship aspect is we stay in touch with them. Before we got onto this podcast, I was telling you, I live in Baldwin County. I'm very involved personally and professionally in the community. I think that's very important. Our customers are people that, I see in the grocery store or I see in carpool line or I'm at the T-ball field with, we're all kind of doing life together. It's the same way for our Florida office. Blake, who runs the Florida office over there, him and his team are very involved in the community. So for us, it's not only, hey, let's get this sale, we've done this and move on. We're kind of doing, I don't want to say we're kind of doing life with these people, but we are.
Doing life with them. I love that.
Yeah.
Is your service competitively priced, or do you say, it obviously is competitively priced, but do you say based on relationships, we're able to get a premium for what we do?
100%. And I do think, we're not bottom of the barrel on pricing and we're not extremely high. I feel like we're right there in the middle, and the big thing for me and what I preach all day long is support. Because I think you can service someone all day long, but unless you're there to support them and take care of them, or if they need ad moves and changes, or they pick up the phone and they call someone, you're going to get someone in our offices. That's the great thing about us. When you pick up the phone and you call OberaConnect, you're talking to somebody in our Alabama office or somebody in our Florida office.
Yeah.
People even drop in, they bring their computers in or they bring their stuff in and they can sit there and talk to our technicians, which I think is incredible.
Yeah. How has it been hiring? One of the challenges that we constantly face on this show is finding good people, finding enough good people. You've accelerated your hiring recently. How has that been?
So I'm going to go back to relationships on this. So the people that work for OberaConnect and work for me are either referrals from other people that I know in the business. We've used a staffing company in town, and the owner of that staffing company was my son's baseball coach, right? Goes back to relationships. We started aggressively hiring last year. We went from 4 to 5 employees to over 20 in probably less than 10 months.
That's got to have yielded some growing pains.
It has.
Some unknowns.
It has. We are working diligently on putting people in the right seats in the right spots. I know that I'm not the smartest person at the table, but I do hire the smartest people at the table.
Yeah.
And what we have created and the culture and the atmosphere at OberaConnect, I think, is why people want to work there. If you need to go pick up your kids in the afternoon and go do that, great. Get back online, whenever you get home. We have remote workers. We have people that work in the office. It has been challenging, though, just growing as quickly as we have, working on putting internal processes and procedures in place, because I think the people that we have that work here, we all come from this industry. However, a growing company like this, it's working to put everything exactly where it needs to be to make sure that it gets back to those core values and the mission of the company.
Is there plans to grow? Have you hired anyone with plans in mind to grow adjacently? So OberaConnect does this, and this, and I do want to hear clearly what those things are. But have you thought our next growth move is not geographically, but it's into adjacent technologies. It's into adjacent services.
Yeah, we have a book of services that we focus on. I never want to be that company that sells 100 different things. We have a niche, and I kind of want to stick to that niche.
Yeah.
I think what stands us out is we are a managed IT company. However, we also have network engineers on staff, professional network engineers on staff. So we also do network engineering. We do design work for engineering, for building people's networks. So I feel like, the people that we are hiring and what makes us stand out are, what we're good at.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell me about, I referenced this as the podcast began, a female in what has traditionally been a male business. Mm-hmm. And I see that tradition fading, frankly, but nevertheless, you had to have faced some questions, capability questions or something like that. Your father obviously had a lot of confidence in you.
Yeah.
Was there ever a moment where you questioned your capability in this business, or did you see your being female an advantage?
So, I come from parents who said you can do anything that you want to do and poured that into me. And I think that's where my confidence comes from, because my parents have confidence in me. I think being a woman in the tech industry sometimes has its challenges. I think that it has taken me a long time to prove that I have a seat at the table.
No kidding.
And I am respected for it, now. But I think when I typically walk in a room, I'm probably not what most people expect to be the owner of a telecom company.
Right.
Right. But I think that my work ethic, what OberaConnect is doing, the people that I have around me, and the way that we service our community and our clients, is why people do respect me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said it's taken you a long time to have a seat at the table, meaning you feel like you do now, or is there work left to be done?
Oh, there's work to be done every day.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think owning a telecom company, you have to be able to wake up early in the morning. I start my morning at 4:30 in the morning. I try to do a bunch of things before I go see anybody else, right, to start my day.
Yeah.
If that's reading something in the technology space, if that's reading something about leadership, I have fantastic mentors that have, that get me focused on what I need to be focused on. I think it takes every single day I have to be learning and reading and teaching, and I also mentor other people as well. And I think that helps me grow every day.
What would your mentors say your talents are?
Oh gosh. Well, I just met with one yesterday, and he said to me verbatim, "I have watched you push with brute force and passion to get where you are today. And now you're really creating and cultivating, a culture, and you got to allow other people to help you." Because I think for me, I'm very driven. And so I have to remember that there's other people around me that are here to help me.
Yeah.
I don't have to do this all on my own.
So that's part of the challenge, I suspect, of going from a 2-person company to, what did you say, 13 people now?
No, we have over 20 now.
Over 20 now,
Yeah.
13 states, over 20 people. Is letting go, perhaps, is opening your palm and saying, all right, there are talented people here who want the same things I do. Let go. Let them take off and do and help me.
Yes, I would love to do like a survey of what my staff thinks about that.
You may not want to hear that.
I think some think I'm getting better at delegating tasks and doing things that I need to be doing. But I mean, it has definitely been for me a transition because this is my baby, right? And but we have incredible people that work here. And my thought process is, right, they're here in this seat for a reason because they can do this job.
Right.
I need to let them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I do a good job at that.
So your mentor told you that your talent, in a matter of words, your talent is really ramming through the ideas and making them successful.
Mm-hmm.
Is that about right?
That's about right.
What do you think your talents are?
I know I keep saying this, but relationships.
Yeah.
So for me, I think just personal relationships, relationships in business, getting to know people, my expertise in this business. I'm going to go back again to one of our core values is reliability. We service a few municipalities, and I sat at a table a few weeks ago, and one of the guys said, she always answers the phone. It doesn't matter what time of day it is or what's going on. She always answers the phone. And if she doesn't, she texts me and says, I'll call you right back.
Yeah.
Reliable is something also that I think has gotten me to where I am today. I do what I say. I think that a lot of people, I never want to get too big to where this relationship across the table doesn't happen, that there's too many people or things in front of me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I always want to stay accessible. I want my staff to be accessible. I want us to be a company where if somebody sees our ad or somebody sees one of my trucks going down the road, that they're like, that's a trusted advisor in the telecom space.
Yeah. That's aspirational. That's quite a bit. That brings you and your team with you to a new level of recognition. What are you working on personally?
Oh, God. In my personal life or business?
If you wish to share your personal
No.
life, you're welcome to. But as you sound like you're a good self-evaluator. You spend a good amount of time reading and reflecting, but most people like you, I find, are a work in progress all the time, or else they become uninteresting to themselves.
Yeah.
What are you working on?
So currently right now with the business, because we have grown so fast, my focus right now is we have a fractional COO that is in that seat until our full-time COO comes on in May. I work with him once a week for about 8 hours a day in the conference room. And that has been really good for me. And I think what comes out of that is good for our staff and our clients. But it's brainstorming about what processes and procedures we need to put into place. What services are we focusing on heavily? What clients and what verticals do we really want to go after and that are a good fit for OberaConnect?
Yeah.
Putting people in the right seats. Those kind of things are what I'm focusing on right now. And it gets my mind going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you talk about what clients are good that you can service, tell me about your perfect client.
Gosh, so we have verticals set up in our company. So think about professional businesses like insurance companies, title companies, real estate companies, doctors' offices. And then you have municipalities or you have schools. So we have different verticals that salespeople kind of focus on.
Yeah.
And then we have our services, obviously, that go along with those verticals or those businesses. Multi-locations are great for us. We do a lot of we service a lot of businesses that have multiple locations in multiple states. Professional businesses are something that we focus on. I would say schools, we do a lot of stuff with the municipalities. We've built some really incredible relationships with some municipalities in Florida, which have flourished to other projects over there as well. So I would say those are kind of our ideal clients.
When a client or a prospective client says something that immediately sets off alarm that says, this is not a good match for us. What are they saying? What are they implying to you that you hear it and say, oh gosh, let's run away from this. This will never be a satisfied client.
So I think something that you'll learn about OberaConnect is we sit with any client at the table and we will go and build a solution. And I think early on, going through that site survey, going through that assessment with them, I say all the time, listen, if we are not going to do the job to the best of our ability, and we may be able to make this work or we may not, we're not going to take the job. We'll even refer one of our partners or vendors to it if it's not the right fit. Mm-hmm. But I never want to take a job just to take a job, right? Because it goes back to what we do at OberaConnect, which is build relationships. It's a lasting relationship with the client. I don't ever want to bring a client on board and say we can do something and we can't. So I think that in the beginning, early on, and I think clients appreciate us for that. You know, I've been at a table before and said, I don't know if that's something that falls under the scope that we do, but I have a partner who does, right? And then we'll bring them in. And I think people respect that.
Yeah. We're going to take a little break right now to hear from our sponsor. Hey everyone, Cam Marston here. All you managers struggling with your Gen Z employees, I see you. You're frustrated by their lack of motivation, work isn't getting done, and you don't know why. You need my free guide, 3 Ways Gen X Managers Can Unlock Gen Z Potential. You'll learn 3 reasons why leaders like you are struggling and get actionable tips to boost Gen Z communication and productivity. Get it now at cammarston.com. When you think of the IT business, where is the frontier? What's the leading edge out there? What questions are clients asking that you recognize to be the frontier on IT, and you hope to find services or develop services that will address those things?
So I think right now, currently, what is a huge focus in our office is, cybersecurity. We deal with a lot of financial institutions and all these things. Hackers are smart, and they're just getting smarter and smarter and smarter. And that's where we have to stay, ahead of them. I mean, it is very crazy that I can get an email and it looks like a legitimate DocuSign from someone.
Oh, yeah.
Or I can get a link for a wire to a bank asking me to wire money from a vendor that I do every month. And if you're not paying attention, which I think we all get really busy and we click on things and we don't pay attention, it can be a dot or just an extra letter or something. And so our job and what we're focusing a lot on right now is trying to stay ahead of the curve and making sure that we put in, certain softwares to help with those things. We do a lot of training with our clients, phishing campaigns, things like that, and then if they click on it and they fail, then, and we always let the client know, we work with them, hey, we're going to do training exercises on this. That way, if they fail, we can go back and say, hey, this is what happened. And if this was real, this is what would have came out of that.
Right.
So those are things that we're really focused on right now. We are heavily focused on, we work with a lot of title companies, financial institutions. Well, there's a lot of money being wired, a lot of things going back and forth. So I feel like hackers know who to target, and it's our job to get ahead of them.
It doesn't sound, you've not mentioned anything that suggests that the frontier is more simplicity. It sounds like the frontier is more diligence, more vigilance, the hackers are getting smarter. And if you want to, you tell your customers, the frontier is more and more training, more and more awareness. In other words, it's not getting easier. It's going to get harder.
Yeah. And where I think one of our values is that we talked about earlier is simplicity. And I mean that like our job is to, I think a lot of companies think about technology and they're like, I don't even want to get into that because of, everything that entails. But our job is to explain it in a simple, way so we can go handle the rest and they don't have to worry about it.
I bet I spend 90 minutes a week on passwords.
Yeah.
And CAPTCHAs, and we're going to text you a code to make sure you are who you say you are. I love my bank because of my relationship with my bankers, but their technology is awful, and it requires me to set a new password every 6 weeks, and it can't be anything similar to the previous passwords.
Correct.
As a result, On my wall behind me, I have all my passwords written out in hand and taped to the wall, which seems to be the most technology averse or password or encryption averse thing I could possibly do, to handwrite them and put them above my computer. So it's a great irony to me to say, yes, this technology is supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be better. It's supposed to be speedier. But here I am having to handwrite this stuff, which is almost taking me back to writing a check, which I'm supposed to be not doing now because using the technology is quicker, more efficient.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. And we don't want you to have to put those on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder, so I'm going to push back a little bit to you and ask you to kind of address this for me. I'm at too much technology, TMT. Too much technology. I want to go back. I want to handwrite a check and put it in the mail, a check or whatever it may be. I want to not have to go through 47 different clicks to go sign a Charles Schwab document, which I've been doing recently. Help me understand this. React to that for me. Yeah, maybe I'm a Luddite. Maybe I just am maybe I'm a problem. But what do you think?
I look at my day-to-day, right? I look at everything that I log into, everything that sends me a code to my phone, everything that, put in this, it sends you an email with a code. There's all these things that go off all day just to get into one website. I think like you said, we all do that. There's software out there that we provide that, will store and save your passwords safely.
Yeah.
So those are things that
there's probably a password process to get into that software.
There is.
Yes.
Yes.
So here again, we're at the same problem. And I'm not sure it's a problem. It's simply the world that we're in today. For me to go to my bank and say, hey, I don't want to use any of your technology anymore, they'd say that you can't be our customer.
Well, and I think it's our job to make you safe.
Yeah. So, all right, continue. I interrupted you about the password thing. This is the world we're in now.
It is. And I think that, with AI and with all the things happening, there's just technology it's every minute of every second of the day. Something is changing. Something is coming out. There's, a new software, or there's 10 different softwares that kind of do the similar things. And I think that's where our job comes in with our, expert people that work at OberaConnect to really define what are your issues, what are you having to do throughout your day that you want to cut out?
Yeah.
And it's our job for our IT guys and our engineers to sit down and say, okay, these are Cam's issues that he deals with on a daily basis. Let us go and figure out a solution that works for you.
That's a beautiful question. What are the issues you're dealing with every day that you would no longer want to deal with in the world of technology that we can deal with? I think that would be just a glorious question to be asked, because I suspect many people have very emotional answers to that. You mentioned AI, and a common question, what threats do AI bring to your business? You've obviously mentioned the hackers getting more sophisticated, and I suspect they can use AI for nefarious reasons, just like I can use it for good reasons.
Yeah.
Other than that, the hackers, what threats does AI bring to your business? Is there any threat of a customer saying, we no longer need OberaConnect because AI can solve these problems for us?
I had a conversation with a company a few months ago, and they are an AI company. They have an AI platform. They sell these services, and they were looking at us to utilize this service for a call center. For something. And the more I thought about it, their AI software would be good, I think, for certain aspects of people's businesses. But for me, I think personally, it takes away that connection that you have with a real person.
Yeah.
So just to give you an example, when you call because your router at home is not working, you call, and I'm sure we all know, please explain what is happening.
Yes.
And then you end the phone call screaming at the phone because all you're saying over and over is, my router is not working.
Human. Person.
Correct.
Breathing thing.
Yes.
Talk to me.
And we all do that. We all experience that, not even with internet issues, but a lot of people that we call. I called somewhere the other day, and a bank, and just wanted to talk to to someone.
Yeah.
And it took me 20 minutes just to get a human. So for us, I think using AI platforms for a certain part of our businesses is not something that I want to do. That's not an experience that I want to have for my customer. And I think that we're going to see that it's not as, a lot of people might disagree. It's not a wonderful tool as people think it is, because I think it takes the connection out of it.
Mm-hmm.
People want to deal with people.
Yeah.
And I also think there's room for human error, but I think, it's very robotic, and I can tell when someone sends me an email and it's written like that. And to me, that's a pretty big turnoff. If I'm going to get an email from someone and someone wants my time or someone wants to sell me something, I don't want something to be auto-generated.
Yeah. I agree with you, and I can sense those emails as well. I can tell when the voice on the other side is not connected to a human, as strange as that sounds. And I seem to give more grace to a person on the other side of the phone that makes a mistake than to a machine on the other side of the phone that won't allow me to talk. I realize how rare it is to speak to a person over the phone today.
It is.
Particularly when you're calling a quote-unquote larger organization. What do you think this is going to look like in 10 years?
Oh, gosh. These are things that we talk about in the office all the time. What is I'm working on currently, which we worked yesterday in the conference room on, my 1-year plan, my 3-year plan. What are we going to be in 5 years? But also from a telecom space. I think we just need to buckle up and get ready. There's a lot of things coming. And
give me an example. What's coming?
I just look at AI, for example, I went through a presentation from someone and I had to turn my back. And they would say, tell me if that is a real person or tell me if that is an automated system. And Cam, I couldn't tell you.
No kidding. It's getting better.
It was so real. So I just think it's going to continue to grow.
So I write these commentaries every week for Alabama Public Radio. I've been doing that for the past 8 years. And I experimented with it and said in ChatGPT, my new best friend, I can find interesting information about it. But I realize, anyway, I said, write for me a 530-word commentary, which is roughly about 3.5 minutes, which is how long they need to be, focusing on these subjects with humor and insight, and use these previous commentaries to recognize my quote-unquote voice, not my auditory voice, but the style in which I write. And it did it, and it was good.
Yeah.
And I realized at that moment, I'm expendable, almost expendable to this thing. And then I learned just yesterday that there is some sort of service out there that I can read a paragraph into the computer and it will duplicate my voice. So it is theoretically possible for the future I could enter content into ChatGPT and have my commentaries read with a fake voice.
But doesn't that
taking my soul out of this thing?
Yeah, but when I think about that and when we talk about that, doesn't that take out the, us, for me particularly, using those things, doesn't that take me learning more, me filling my brain with things, knowing that you're working with a company like a trusted advisor and they actually know what they're doing? They're not using, a robot, or they're not using something to fix something. We're using real expert people who have, degrees in these things and are going to be there any time of the day to answer the phone and fix something for you.
I think that it feels like that's becoming more and more rare.
It is.
To find what you're offering there.
It is, I think. And I also think that that's why a lot of people come to us and stay with us.
Yeah.
For OberaConnect, and I hate this saying, and I say it every time I say it, but I haven't found another saying, but we are kind of that one-stop shop. And I sometimes just feel like that sounds icky, but it's true. A lot of things that we run into when we sit down with clients, especially larger clients, they have 15 different bills from 15 different providers, and they have no idea what they're paying for.
Yeah.
And this provider is selling them a service, and this provider is selling them a service. So what we do is we sit down, we take all of these bills and all of this stuff that they're paying for, we consolidate it, and we are able to bring them a solution to where they have one company to call, one person.
Yeah.
They have one bill.
I get it.
And
Sure.
I think also that is a huge selling point for us. I mean, we have other companies that resell our services because their clients want one bill. So I think that's huge for us at OberaConnect.
We've got people now calling on people. I'm going to try to, the question is formed in my head, but I'm not sure I have the words for it. You've got now 20 some odd people that are working for you that have likely been in the tech world their entire lives. Mm-hmm. They're probably quote unquote younger, but at my age, everybody's younger. They're younger. They've been around technology. You advertise that you are human-driven business. Are you sending people into your clients' offices that are tech-stricken such that they struggle to connect? How do you teach your employees to be humans who are tech people?
Yes. So I think this is something that we run into often. Whenever we walk into a client's office, that engineer or that technician could be talking about something and you kind of see your customer with this blank stare on their face.
Either they've checked out or they're horrified.
Correct. So I think where we connect with them is the question that I said earlier. Cam, what are the pain points that you struggle with during the day?
Yeah.
Because then that's relatable to you, right? You are the one running your day. You are the one who is running into these obstacles. You are the one who is frustrated. So really, it's not the technician's job to sit there and explain how this sonic wall works or this router works. Yes, it's great that they can do that. We want them to do that. However, it's really for them to get on the same level as the client and understand the pain points and then go back and put a solution together and say, hey, you had 47 Post-its on your wall for passwords.
Yes.
This software is going to be able to help you with that, right? And then kind of explain that. So that's what we're doing. We're kind of, I don't want to say dumbing it down, but we're dumbing it down a little bit.
Dumbing it down doesn't sound bad at all. And perhaps you can sense my frustration in all this. And I've said it before on our conversation here. I feel like the technology that's supposed to make our lives simpler is actually muddying the life, is not making it simpler. And I want to go back to handwritten notes and handwritten checks, which I know are ridiculous and it'll never happen again. But I sense that a measurable part of my week is spent dealing with technology issues that are most supposed to make my life easier.
We can help you with that.
that have not. They have failed in their promise of making things easier, and perhaps it's just my approach to it that is the problem there. So, what is on your OberaConnect bucket list? Things that you want to do, grow, and experience. And I'm going to ask a follow-up question to this, which is what is on your reverse bucket list? And I'll explain that after you answer the bucket list question.
So if I think about the last 4 years, which I've been doing a lot lately because we're growing very quickly.
You're looking backwards a lot.
Yeah. And to be able to look ahead. My goal is to be at about 35 employees. I think that's a good number, maybe to have another office in another region. Those are some of my goals for OberaConnect. Continuing to hire specific people, not just hiring to hire to fill a seat. I think sometimes a lot of companies do that. I know that we have a need for a few new employees, but I want to be strategic and specific about who that person is and make sure that they're a good culture fit. One of the big things that I'm focusing on is, understanding, to make sure everyone's driving the same direction on the same bus. That's a big thing for me, and make sure that we're all speaking the same language at OberaConnect.
Is there I was visiting with a guy the other night who had a certain number in mind that when his business hit this number, he would know he had hit a plateau that is unique to his industry. Is there something like that for you that says, when we've done blank many clients, gross revenue, something like that, is there a number that you keep in your mind or perhaps even written somewhere that is telling that you've hit a plateau that you're very proud of?
Sure. I mean, I can look at where we started 4 years ago and where we are now, and I surpassed what I had written down.
Oh, good for you.
I did not think that we would hire this many people in 11 months, right? I think that the first year and a half being in business, we really focused on putting the right billing platforms in order, the right taxation pieces in order. It was more about the foundation and structure of the business. And then the past year and a half, it's been about the people, like hiring the right people.
Yeah.
Sure, there's a number in my head to where it's like, okay, we've made this now.
Yeah.
I was asked probably a year ago, 10 years, what would you do? Just sell the business? And I was like, no, like I just got started.
Right.
Like I'm excited about this.
You're just warming up. You're just
I'm just
stretching.
getting started.
You're just getting loose.
Yeah.
So the reverse bucket list.
Okay.
The bucket list is everything you want and want to experience and want to do. The reverse bucket list are things that I hope to never do or see again. When you think about OberaConnect, what is on your reverse bucket list?
I never want to have to feel like I have to trudge and do this alone, because I know for a fact that I don't. So if that makes sense.
So your memory is of doing it alone, and you don't want to go back and have to feel that way again.
Yeah. And I don't mean doing it alone, right? I have my dad, I have my husband, my family, I have, the people that started this with me. I think that's a me thing, because this is my baby,
Yeah.
right? And so feeling like just pushing and pushing and pushing through this wall to get us where we needed to be in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go back to that.
What else? Is there an experience or a memory you have of doing something that you thought, gosh, I hope I never have to do that again? For me, it would be like, I think about the children changing diapers. Gosh, I loved it at the time, but I don't ever want to have to do that again.
Yeah. Well, funny, if you speak of diapers, I'm an older mom, so I had a baby 2 years ago. So I'm in the diaper phase.
You're there.
I started later than everybody else.
Yeah.
That is something that I would not want to do, buy a business and then have a baby again.
Oh, interesting.
Because I did that.
Yeah. And
I actually adopted our son, Brian, in 2020. In 2021, I bought a business. And in 2022, I had a baby.
you seem to like self-inflicted pain. It's what it seems
I will
like.
not do that again.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a memory that you don't want to step down that
Those
road
were
again.
all fantastic memories.
Yes.
They were all fantastic things to happen in my life. But it was huge milestone moments in people's life that all happened at one time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your reverse bucket list. I don't want to have to feel like I'm doing this alone, and I don't want to take on that many significant commitments in such a short amount of time.
Correct.
Exhausting.
It is.
Yeah. So you said you need to hire. You're looking for the right people. And let's go back to kind of what we started a conversation. I've got a couple more notes that I want to get through here.
Of course.
Female in tech.
Okay.
And again, I'm playing stereotypes, and I'm going to get blasted for this, but harder to find. How hard is it today to hire a female in the roles that you're looking for? Are they much more present than perhaps I realize?
No, well, they're not.
They're not.
No. We are, Sonia that contacted you, our VP of Digital Strategy, she is going to work with one of the colleges this summer about doing an internship.
Yeah.
And our focus is women in tech, finding interns that we can, use at OberaConnect and maybe hire whenever they're out of school. But I do think that we are in a very male-driven world. IT people, engineers, things like that. I read a lot about statistics. I think it is growing. It's growing, but it's for people that sit, I think, in the seats like mine or in other seats in the tech industry. It's our job as women to rally those other women and let them know that you're not alone. And let me mentor you. Let me pass this on. This has been given to you. I look at my mentors, they're all men. All of them.
Do you feel that the women don't want to enter tech due to lack of interest? They're embarrassed. They're not supposed to like this. This is a men's job, and I don't want to be in it, even though it may interest me. What is the barrier?
Well, I think, for me, we had a lunch and learn a few weeks ago. And one of the things I said in that meeting is I think that we all try to learn it all at one time because we want to make sure that, we come across as we know what we're talking about. However, I started in the tech world as a salesperson. right? And I did very well in sales because I'm a relationship person.
Back to the relationship.
I knew nothing. I mean, I even went back to school for a business degree, right? And graduated with that so I could run a business and do all these things. But I knew nothing about this. And the biggest advice that I was given, by my father was, you don't have to know all of that right now. Just go out there, sell, build relationships, and the rest will come. And that is so true. And I think that what scares a lot of people away is because they think that they have to know how to program a router.
When you say people, you mean females?
Females.
Or just anyone?
Well, females or really anyone, I think. I think that we, especially females, if you're not an engineer or you're not, an IT person, and you haven't been engulfed in tech, trying to get into that, I think that there's a barrier. I know in my mind was, can I really do this? Because I don't know what he does. So
Yeah.
I think we have to tell ourselves we can do this. There's other women who've gone before us that can do this, and find, a woman in this space and, latch onto her. We have quite a few women that work for us, but obviously more men. I think there's 4 or 5 women that work for us, maybe 6 now.
Yeah.
So not that many.
So react to this for me. A female says, this is something I've read in the past, that to apply for a job, a female needs to feel like she is 110% qualified for the job. For a male to apply for the chain job, he has to feel like he's 40% qualified. In other words, he does not feel the need to be overly qualified for the job, whereas a female feels like she needs to be fully qualified for
I
it.
agree
Does
with
that
that.
make sense? So react to that for me. Is that something you see on a regular basis in your workplace?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak for myself. I have been in board meetings or business meetings, and I think I said this at the beginning of our podcast. I am probably not who they would expect
Right.
walking into the room that I'm the owner of a tech company, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 40-year-old woman, right? So I think that people have a vision in their mind or something in their mind that they perceive should be something else. But and this comes from me, I think that I have to make sure that I'm 110% prepared so I can make sure that even though maybe I am not a network engineer, but I'm able to sit at the table with you and speak about things that you're speaking about.
So if you're not 110% qualified for the job, what is your advice to young women out there? Would you say to them, listen, you need to be fully qualified for every job that you approach, or you need to go at it like the men do? If they feel like they can do it, even if they don't have the qualifications, they're going to apply for the job. What would your advice be?
No, I would say go learn, go be qualified, go read, go do all the things.
So get yourself ready for the job.
Correct.
Maybe don't apply yet, but get yourself ready for the job. Yeah. So I remember a conversation I had with the head of an accounting firm many years ago. I'll never forget this because his comments surprised me. We were in a hotel lobby in Seattle, and he said, we do our best, our dead level best, it's an accounting firm, to keep our female accountants on staff because they are more profitable in the long run. They hold our clients. They have a better relationship with our clients, and they are more profitable. So when our females talk about taking a leave of absence for something, to have a child or something like that, we do everything possible to keep them here. Not to tell them they can't leave, but to create some sort of hybrid arrangement. And this was well prior to today's recent conversations around her hybrid arrangements. The bottom line, this man says, and my search in ChatGPT backs that up, female account managers are more profitable than male account managers. React to that for me.
So I think for us and what I'm seeing and just what I've seen over the time that I've been in this space, I think I would agree and then I would disagree. I think that it goes back to what you put in is what you're going to get out. I do think with females and from myself, just one, being a mother, being a wife, being nurturing, a listener, all of those things. I think that plays into a huge role of our success. I think for a woman and how I take care of people, it may be a little different than my male counterpart does, right? Checking up on them, seeing if they need anything else, being very attentive. I'm not saying that the men are not that way. I'm just saying sometimes I feel like females are a little bit more apt to do that because we do that more. Does that make sense?
It's a part of your nature.
Correct.
Is that condescending to say? I don't want to get sideways with you, but it's part of the
No,
part
I do
of that
think
nature.
it is part of our nature as women to want to take care of.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
not that men don't.
Not that men
Right.
don't, but it's a more of an inclination.
Yeah.
Does that change your hiring plans going forward?
No. I mean, I hire every position that we are putting out there in the next few weeks. Doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. If they're qualified and they're a great fit for our company and it's what we need, then they're going to be the ones to get the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the future. We're coming to a close here, but the future of OberaConnect, you're going to grow, you're going to hire, male or female. We've determined that it doesn't matter as long as they're talented and ready to do it. What is the next sign of change that people like me, observing from the outside, will see from OberaConnect? What's next for you?
Growth.
Just grow more and more.
Grow, get the people that are coming on board. I spend a lot of time and money on training, getting people certifications, getting people trained in new things. Just because you went to college for something doesn't mean it stops there. We have one guy this week that is at a training seminar this week getting certified for something because we need to be certified in these things. So I think just continuing to build up our employees, make sure that they're where they need to be, give them the tools that they need to grow themselves. And then that will in turn help them better take care of our clients and our customers. And for me to just continue to keep my eye on the path and work really hard with the people that I surround myself with. I think I'm a visionary. And so I have people around me who can kind of rein me in and kind of say, okay, we need to do this first for us to do this.
Yeah.
So I think, I've surrounded myself with some incredible people. I'm very grateful for where we are today. I mean, I could not have done this without my father or my husband. I mean, 4 years ago when we were like, okay, we're going to do this, I knew in my mind, because I know both of us and I know our drive and I know how successful my father is, that we can do this together. I think it just happened a lot quicker, but I think that attests to who we are and the people that we surround ourselves to and our clients and just being involved.
So last question, you look back from where you started. What has surprised you the most about this?
How much people have rallied around us. Not that I think that they wouldn't have, but I think that people will support you. This has been a hard lesson for me through the last 4 years. People will support you throughout the process, but then I think when they see that you have really done it, sometimes people tear you down.
Oh, tell me more about that.
I think it is everyone's nature to want some people to do good. But I also think that sometimes people think, well, I want to be able to do that, or I want to be able to do this, or maybe opportunities have been given. I have been given an opportunity to build a business with my father. Not everybody gets that opportunity, right? It looks different. And I'm grateful for that. And it's not lost on me, the opportunities that I have been given. However, my father has always told me, this business is yours and I's to grow and to build. And Sonia is my sister that you spoke to. I don't know if you knew she's my sister.
I think she mentioned that early on.
Yeah. And she, this is a family business. And the goal is to grow this business and grow it with our families. And our staff is so much more than just our staff. They're our families. And I think anybody can be given an opportunity, but it's what you do with it. If I wouldn't have put in the hard work, or the people that we have around us wouldn't have put in the work, it wouldn't have gotten to where it is today. So I think anybody can be given an opportunity, but it's what you do with it. It's the time, the sweat, the blood, the tears, the sleepless nights. It's a huge responsibility to take care of 20-something plus people and their families.
I can't imagine what your payroll is, but
tell
me.
I do not take it lightly.
When did your father tell you that people would cheer for you, and then when you became successful, they would ambush you? Did you expect that?
No, and he didn't say it exactly like that, the ambush part. He just said that, you've got to make sure that you surround yourself with people who want to see you do good.
Is it harder in women than men to find those people? I guess you don't know. You've never been a man.
I've never been a man.
I've answered our own question. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. What surprised you is how many people rallied around you, and then how many people, once you had found success, wanted to tear you down. Mm-hmm. That's too bad. Well, I think the first half of that message is wonderful. The second half of that message is sad.
And I wouldn't say it's people that I know directly or people that are in my life. It's other people. I think that there's a lot of people we're all striving for the same thing in life, right? We all want to get up. We all want to do good. We all want to make a difference. Yeah. And that's really what I have to focus on.
Yeah.
And I have the best crew and the best people and the best staff ever, and incredible friends, and it's just awesome, and that's what I have to focus on.
That's what you should focus on.
Yeah.
Stay there. How do people find you? If someone's out there with their finger on their phone going, I want this organization to help me, how do they find you?
OberaConnect.com, or they just pick up the phone and call us, 251-308-4592.
4592. Excellent. Thank you so much, Devon. Thank you for making that very, very difficult drive across the bay. Yeah. I know how hard that is for you Baldwin County people to have to come over here.
I would do it for you anytime.
Thank you very much. That'll wrap us up, folks. I'll put her contact information in the show notes if you have any interest in reaching out, as well as a link to the website. And we'll have another show in the coming weeks. Thanks very much, everybody.